Have you ever felt like you're watching a movie, but it's real life? Like there are hidden meanings and secret messages all around us, just waiting to be decoded? Well, today we pulling back the curtain on one of the most fascinating and bizarre events of the 20th century. We're diving deep into the world of elite, secret ceremonies of the 1970s. Specifically, the now infamous Surrealist Ball hosted by the Rothschild family in 1972. What was really going on behind those gilded doors? Was it just an eccentric party, or was it a carefully orchestrated piece of theater? A mask of history with a message for those in the know? Let's set the scene. It's December 12, 1972. The location is the Château de Ferrières, a stunning palace just outside Paris. The hosts are Baron and Baroness de Rothschild, figures at the pinnacle of European high society. The guest list is a who's who of the era. Artists like Salvador Dalí, socialites, aristocrats, and powerful business figures. But this was no ordinary high society gala. The invitation itself was a work of art, written backwards, requiring a mirror to read. It set the tone for an evening where nothing was as it seemed. The theme was Surrealism, a movement known for exploring the subconscious, dreams, and the irrational. And the guests certainly committed to the theme. Imagine arriving at the chateau, which was bathed in an ominous red light to simulate a building on fire. Inside, the grand staircase was lined with staff dressed as cats, seemingly asleep in various dramatic poses. The journey through the house was a labyrinth made of black ribbons, a maze of the unknown. If a guest got lost, a cat would supposedly rescue them and lead them to the main hall. Once there, the real spectacle began. The table settings were beyond anything you'd see at a normal dinner party. Mannequins of deceased babies lay on beds of roses, plates were covered in fur, and the food itself was presented in shocking ways. Fish served on a mannequin's torso, for example. The hosts and guests wore elaborate, often disturbing, surrealist heads and masks. Marie-Hélène de Rothschild wore a stag's head weeping tears of diamonds. Salvador Dalí, the master of surrealism himself, was naturally in his element. Now on the surface, this all sounds like an incredibly lavish and artistic fancy dress party. The 1970s were a time of great social change and artistic experimentation, and the Surrealist movement, though past its peak, was still a huge influence. One could easily dismiss this as the ultra-rich amusing themselves with an avant-garde theme. And for many of the guests, that's probably all it was, a chance to wear a crazy costume, hobnob with influential people, and experience a night of pure fantasy. It was an escape from reality, a dive into a world created by imagination. But what if there's another layer to this? The more you look at the photos and read the accounts, the more you start to see patterns and symbols that seem to go beyond mere artistic expression. This is where we step into the world of interpretation, of decoding the mask. The symbolism was dense and, for some, deeply unsettling. The backward writing, the labyrinth, the burning chateau, all of these can be seen as classic occult or initiatory symbols. They represent a journey from the known to the unknown, a passage through a trial to gain hidden knowledge. The surrealist heads, which hid the identities of the guests, could symbolize the shedding of one's public persona to reveal a truer, perhaps darker self. Let's break down some of the key symbols. The stag's head worn by the hostess is a powerful image. In many ancient cultures, the stag represents wildness, regeneration, and is a messenger from the other world. The tears of diamonds could symbolize immense sorrow hidden behind immense wealth. The cats on the stairs could be a reference to ancient Egyptian beliefs, where cats were protectors of the home and the underworld. The labyrinth is a near-universal symbol for a spiritual journey to the center of one's being. Taken together, it doesn't just look like a party anymore. It starts to look like a ritual. This is where things get really interesting. When photos from the party leaked to the public years later, they fueled countless conspiracy theories. Some claimed the event was a satanic ritual, pointing to the bizarre costumes and what they interpreted as occult symbols. The mannequin babies, the animal heads, it was all seen as evidence of something sinister. These interpretations often link the event to secret societies like the Illuminati, suggesting that the party was a celebration of their power and a symbolic representation of their control over world events. The burning house in this view wasn't just a lighting effect. It was a symbol of society in chaos, a world on fire from which these elites stood apart, safe in their palace. Now, we have to be careful here. It's very easy to get carried away and see conspiracies where there are none. The line between an avant-garde art party and a secret occult ritual can be blurry, especially when viewed through the lens of history and with incomplete information. The Rothschilds were famous patrons of the arts, and their circle included the most prominent surrealist artists of the day. It's entirely plausible that they simply wanted to host the most authentic and memorable surrealist experience possible. They were, in effect, bringing a Salvador Dalí painting to life for one night. The shock value and unsettling imagery are hallmarks of the surrealist movement itself, which sought to jolt people out of their ordinary perceptions of reality. However, let's consider another perspective, one that sits between just a party and secret world domination ritual. What if the event was a form of psychological theater? The 1970s were a turbulent decade. The optimism of the 60s had faded, replaced by economic uncertainty, political scandals like Watergate, and the lingering anxieties of the Cold War. The world felt unstable. For the elite, who sit at the top of this system, these anxieties would have been particularly acute. Perhaps this mask was a way for them to process these fears, to confront the chaos of the world in a controlled, symbolic environment. By dressing up as monsters and surrounding themselves with images of decay and disruption, they were, in a way, mastering their fears. They were turning the chaos of the outside world into a game, a performance where they were the directors. Think of it as a form of revelation of the method. This is a concept where hidden truths or plans are revealed symbolically in plain sight, through art or media. The creators can then say, "We told you, but you didn't listen," or "It was just a story," by staging such an event. They could be symbolically acting out their role as the masters of chaos, the ones who thrive and navigate a world that seems to be falling apart for everyone else. The party becomes a declaration. We understand the true, irrational nature of the world, and we are not afraid of it. We can wear its monstrous face as a mask and dance. This interpretation doesn't require us to believe in lizard people or secret global councils. It just requires us to understand human psychology and the power of symbolism. Elites throughout history have used elaborate rituals and ceremonies to solidify their identity and power. From the courts of Renaissance princes to the secret societies of the 19th century, these events serve to bind a group together and reinforce a shared worldview. The Rothschild Surrealist Ball can be seen as a modern version of this, using the language of avant-garde art instead of ancient religious rites. So, what's the takeaway from this journey into the bizarre? The 1972 Surrealist Ball remains a potent cultural artifact precisely because it's so open to interpretation. It was undeniably a masterpiece of event planning and artistic expression. It was also a perfect storm of imagery that feeds our deepest suspicions about the hidden lives of the powerful. Whether you see it as a harmless decadent party, a sinister occult ritual, or a complex piece of psychological theater, it forces us to ask important questions about wealth, power, and the hidden symbols that shape our world. It reminds us that history isn't just a collection of facts and dates. It's also a mask, a performance full of hidden meanings. And sometimes the most revealing truths are found not in the official records, but in the strange, surreal parties thrown by those who stand behind the curtain. The secret messages might not be about global domination, but about the anxieties, desires, and self-perception of the people who pull the levers of power. And that, in itself, is a fascinating story. What do you think? Was it just an eccentric night of art, or was there a deeper message hidden behind those surreal masks? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and for diving into this mystery with me. If you enjoy exploring the hidden corners of history and culture, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next investigation. See you in the next video.